Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to VLAN's webinar. Thank you for joining us for today. For today's Retail Digitalized Series Part 4, we are going to be talking about how should retail adapt their marketing strategies post-COVID. So before we start the session, I would like to remind everyone, as always, if you have not followed us on social media, you can do so by going to Facebook or LinkedIn and looking us up. VLAN.Asia on Facebook and VLAN Technologies in Berhad on LinkedIn. Or you can also go down to the Q&A section, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. If that section is not open, you can look for that little blimp with the question mark at the right-hand top corner of the screen and click on it and open that section. And you will see the links which is there. You can also drop in your questions throughout this session so that we can take them at the end of the session. Right then, so for today's series, who are your customers? How well do you know them? When was the last time you greeted them by name? These are some questions we ask when we engage business owners looking to improve their customer experience. So today we have Lance, who is VLAN Asia's Chief Geek, as well as Aaron Soh, who is Hubspot's Head of Channel Sales Asia, to join us and present to us on some of online marketing strategies that you can actually use for your retail business. So I'm going to pass this session over to Lance so that he can actually take us off. Hi, Lance. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for having us. Thanks for tuning in for another one of our Retail Digitalization Series. This is part 4 of our series. Today's session is also brought to you in collaboration together with Internet Alliance. IA is actually an NGO of system integrators, ISPs, data centers, hosters, e-commerce players, just to help our businesses in our country to digitalize and learn a bit more about technology. I've been a member of IA for a good 3 years now. It's quite a lot of learning that we can learn from each other. So we don't make the same mistakes other people's made before. And yes, we have some people from other NGOs as well. So welcome everyone. So these days, everyone is looking to digitalize. More than ever, we should be looking not just at digitalizing our business, but also to automate as much as possible, right? Digitalization isn't all about turning an order form from a piece of paper to online. It's more like changing the entire process with technology. Be it changing your physical till to a cloud-based post, reducing reliance on hardware, embracing a CRM to centrally manage your company's social media engagements, or just changing the mode of communication to your customers, whether or not they want to use WhatsApp, phone, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you want. So systems help you manage all of these engagements with your customers, because at the end of the day, you want to give the best customer experience possible so that the customers come back, right? So continuing today's conversation, we have Aaron, the channel sales head for Hubspot Asia. Hubspot's current market cap is about 14 billion as of today. So no question whether they're doing well or not. So welcome to the show, Aaron. I believe you have a fair bit to share today. So tell us a bit about yourself and your journey so far in Hubspot.
Cheers, Lance. It's an honor to be on this call today. A quick intro of myself. My name is Aaron. I lead up the channel business over here at Hubspot Asia. The reason why I'm along with colleagues is you guys can hear me well, right? The audio is right. It's because VLAN obviously is our strategic partner in Malaysia. They're actually one of the first partner that we have appointed just a few months back. Cheers to you. During COVID, so we have actually never met in person. Kind of think of it, and we actually struck the partnership online through Zoom, right? So it's kind of a strong testament, I would say. It's an example of how we strike business these days through video conference, through other means of digital platform. And yeah, I'm just very eager to share what we have seen as a cloud business. So also a quick shameless plug over here. HubSpot is a cloud-based CRM platform. So it specializes in both marketing and sales productivity tool. And we have been in business for 14 years now, and we have seen a fair share of changes in economic climate and also experience in growing our business online. So I'm eager to share how this experience has been and specifically zooming in to how we have been dealing with COVID, which I'm sure a lot of you will be interested in knowing more.
14 years, 14 billion, nice. Next year, 15 billion, I think. So just one quick question before you go into your deck, right? Can you just share a little bit what is Hubspot's vision and how you guys cari makan actually in this region?
Right. Yeah. So we cari makan in quite a few ways. So our mission over here is to help millions of organizations grow. And I think specifically why Lance invited me to this call is because we primarily focus on obviously your small, medium businesses who are trying to digitalize their business. And hence we have that vision of millions of businesses as opposed to empowering your Forbes 500 enterprise businesses. Yes, we service quite a few of them, but our core vision over here is to help people transform their business onto digital.
Okay, cool. I believe you have some slides to share, so go ahead.
Cool. Let me just share my screen over here. Let me know when you can see my screen, team.
Good.
All good on this?
Yep, all good.
Okay, let me just switch to presenter mode so that we can just get going. All right, team. We have a fairly small group over here. Again, I'm assuming because it's my first time using Microsoft Teams, I can't actually see how many participants we have. I assume that we have less than 30, 40 people over here. I'll keep it fairly interactive over here. And as and when it requires, I would encourage you to interact with one another on the chat panel just underneath Microsoft Teams. I'll be posing a few questions along the way as well. So prepare and brace yourself for some interaction here. Not too tough of a question that I'm going to pose. It's just your typical, challenges that you face. Now, the title of this session over here is how businesses can actually adapt your marketing strategy during these challenging times. And I'm looking forward to share with everyone backed by some empirical data that we've gathered from our customers regionally. We want to make sure that all these findings that we present to you is relevant to the Malaysia audience, for example, and some examples of businesses who have done well in adapting during this very trying period. All right, without further ado, today what we are going to talk about in detail is takeaways from some trends and data that I'm going to present in a minute, how we can adopt an educational-led marketing strategy to evolve your business during this difficult time, leverage on marketing automation. I mentioned about HubSpot's capability around CRM, around marketing automation. So some live use case on how you could leverage on these tools to ensure you remain top of your mind to your customers. And we do a quick recap, right? Now, just a quick gif, super cliche, but I love it. This is how everyone sort of feel during COVID right now. A lot of us are saying that, hey, you know what? We probably are experiencing like a U-shaped curve recovery, right? Where the impact was very sudden when it hit us. It was very sudden, and it will take us some time for our businesses to adapt to the new normal, and hope that we'll be able to take in some helpful tips over here from myself to help with your businesses. All right, how buyers' behavior has changed during this new normal. All right, now let me start with sharing how we obtain all this data. All right, HubSpot has been in this space, as I mentioned, for more than 14 years now, and we have more than 70,000 customers globally. All right, this trend over here is specifically for APAC region, all right? And the data is based on companies that are using HubSpot and have invested in online presence, all right? So the start date, I know COVID obviously dated way back. It started in Wuhan, in China, in December 2019. We have based this data based on what WHO have declared COVID as a global pandemic. We started from 11 March. I know Malaysia actually discovered, along with Singapore, that's where we are based out of, quite early in late January. I believe in Malaysia, it was Sungai Buloh that you guys discovered like the first few cases. And then the MCO actually kickstart on 18th of March, right? So this data will be fairly relevant to all of you in Malaysia. All right. Now, a quick poll. I promise that I want you guys to warm up your body and then start moving your fingers a bit. All right, a quick poll over here. How many of you have spent more time online compared to pre-COVID? You can just type in yes or no. Just really quickly. All right, I'm just going to pause for 10 seconds for you guys to just punch in yes or no.
Aaron, there's actually a bit of a delay for each for this call. When we actually when you actually speak, there's actually a delay. So do expect slightly longer. Yeah.
Okay. No problem. Yeah. So I think by now you would have heard me saying that. It's fine. I'm gonna move on. All right. You guys can punch in the response as we go. All right. So now what I'm trying to present to you is this chart over here that highlights the website traffic that has been continuously trending upwards. And this website traffic is based on traffic on Hubspot website. All right. So a bit of a why behind this upward trend. All right. Buyers are leaving online more than ever. All right. More people are working from home, just like you, me, Lance, Norman. You can see our background. We are all at home. We are forced to go digital. Hence, face-to-face interaction is no longer a viable option, right? Second thing, why? Traditional businesses who weren't digital before have no choice but to go digital, all right? Third, more than ever, people are looking online for information to solve their problem, all right? You can't be walking around your office or meeting people through your contact, understanding how they are doing things, what problem they are facing, and then kind of dig out some information from there. No, these are no longer a viable option. Now the key takeaway over here is if you're not online now, this should be a priority for you more than ever. All right, given the traffic. Second thing over here. All right, this is a bit of a unique one, but again, it's not all that surprising that chat conversation online has increased dramatically over here, right? You can see the chat conversations are at all-time high over here. Buyers are willing to engage on chat versus phone, all right? So why? It all boils down to people spending more time online and visiting more websites than ever, all right? Businesses have adapted and accommodate the increase in website traffic. So live chatbots is almost a shortcut way or an easier way for businesses to scale. All right. So the main takeaway over here is if you're not using chat to scale your business, do seriously consider about it. All right. You put yourself in the consumer shoe. If you like an answer quickly from a businesses that you're interested in patronizing, it could be your spa, it could be somewhere they are trying to procure a product from, you'll more likely engage them on a chat pane or a chat bot as opposed to calling them right now, right? So now I know there's a bit of delay, but another quick poll: how many of you are receiving even more emails now compared to pre-COVID? Right? Thanks, Lance. I know based on the sample size, 100% of them are receiving more emails than ever. All right.
Actually, previous poll also everybody said yes, so
okay.
I think everybody can expect to say you can expect everybody to say yes as well.
Awesome. All right. The third trend. All right. There have been a huge amount of emails sent out. I, for one, definitely notice my promotional inbox is getting a lot of emails compared to before. All right. Now, to explain this phenomena, right, on sending emails, people are probably have lesser distraction than before. They are spending a lot of time on their computers. Businesses are changing their communication strategy, right? You will receive less telemarketing call, you receive more emails. And on the second chart, I'd like to divert your attention to the second chart over here. The open rate is also rising, all right? Naturally, you would think that, hey, you know what? If we are ramping up, if we are increasing the email send, probably the open rate won't be as optimal. No, it's actually there's a positive correlation between these two properties over here. In fact, it's quite high. It's showing that people are willing to learn from these industry experts and seem to be more patient with these types of email. All right. So the key over here is your content on your marketing related email. Email marketing is still proven to be an effective marketing channel for a lot of businesses. Now, on the same coin, but on the flip side, all right, trend 4. When sales team are sending more emails than ever, engagement is actually going downhill. All right. Why? All right. In-person door-to-door sales is not possible right now. So emails, calling are the only option during this period. The response rates are lower, probably because it shows that businesses are not ready to purchase or make a decision right now because it's a period of uncertainty. People are interested in learning more thought leader content. They would like to learn more about how they can get out of this hole, but not interested in buying anything or engaging any services just yet, right? So a key takeaway over here, be mindful when you send these sales emails. Don't oversell. Always provide value first before extracting value, right? The 5th trend, all right? So not a surprise, but deals have always dropped during the initial period. During COVID, you could see like when COVID hit really hard, people were struck by that uncertainty feeling. You can see the number of deals drop, meaning the number of opportunities that sales team create drop across our data set because we are CRM business, so we are able to track the deal being created by our customers. However, we do see that recovery happening mid-June, late June, and ever since it's going back to that normal, right? So as shown with the low response to sales emails, buyers are not ready to make a purchase decision right now, right? The key takeaway here is don't be surprised to have a longer sales cycle than before, as people are feeling insecure in a way, right? Due to how unpredictable everything is. Just like Malaysia, MCO just kick in certain states again, right? Again, the unpredictability, it's always going to be there until we find a vaccine, right? Next trend. Okay, a bit of a good news over here. Okay, deals close has started to trend upwards since May. This indicates that customers are increasingly open to invest in growth as they become more and more confident of the economic conditions. Right? I personally really hope that we can maintain this momentum as more and more countries are easing their lockdowns. But obviously, there are second, third, fourth waves happening everywhere. So it's hard to say whether this momentum will be maintained. But I would say that the history will repeat itself, right? When we go back to the normal after the second wave, third wave hit again, we might experience a bit of downward trend, and then things will kick back up again when people get used to this, this pace and this mountain-like trend. Now that you have some insights into marketing trends as a result of COVID, the question that a lot of you might be thinking right now is, how should you, as I think Lan just now covered, like business associations members, you are in charge of advising, consulting some business owners, marketers on how to respond, adapt in the new normal. How does this impact your marketing strategy, right? I think this is what the meat of the session over here. Okay, so enough of the trends. I've showcased 6 trends earlier. I'm sure you want to understand how to best adapt your strategy. All right. So the first strategy over here that we have seen work really, really well for businesses is to adopt an educational content strategy. All right. It goes back to my earlier point about provide value first before extracting value from your prospect and customer. Now, the key reason for this is to help your brand and your business stay on top of people's mind, even when your customers are not ready to buy. All right. Another quick poll over here. Who currently creates educational content to generate leads? Yes, that's awesome. Yes, very participative. Thank you. All right, now a recap of what I've shared earlier. All right, businesses start moving online. Okay, we have established that is the truth. That is what is happening. All right, COVID has acted as a catalyst for this. Businesses are changing their strategies 100%. And what does it mean for you and your team during this time of uncertainty? Okay, something that we have seen specifically happening in Hubspot. All right, you can see that this is our Academy sign up data. So if you Google HubSpot Academy, you will find tons of information and intel or tips on marketing and sales. All right, you could quickly Google it. It's totally free. You're able to consume it. You're able to download it. Up to you, right? So what we are experiencing now on our Academy page is marketing email increases, blog traffic increases at all-time high, all aligned with our customer trend that I just showed you. And we have seen incredible statistics in Academy sign up. All right, people are desperate to learn and educate themselves during this time. All right. Now, why have an educational strategy? Why? It helps you with your bottom line. All right. So on the marketing side of things, it helps with increasing your reach and lead acquisition, lead generation. On the sales side, when you have a strong relationship with your prospect before they talk to sales, the close ratio inevitably will go higher. All right. On the services side, customers who are continuously educated is proven to be retained more than the ones who aren't. All right. So it benefits you from all cylinders. So why is an educational content strategy effective? All right. From a attract standpoint, it builds trust with your prospects. And when you engage them, you're able to provide value with the content. And then after they become your customer, you're going to start delighting them by enabling them to be successful, right? So this is what we call specific impact that this strategy can have on your business. I'm not sure how many of you are, I know I have flashed quite a few times on this flywheel thingy, right? So we basically coined this flywheel on HubSpot on how customer journey should be, all right? You can see at the outer circle of this circle, stranger is when you're trying to attract your prospect. And then when they, in fact, they have entered your CRM, they become a contact record. That's when you start engaging them with your nurturing strategy, educational content on your blog, emails, etc. Once they turn into customer, you try to delight them and you make them a promoter. All right. So by now, I hope that you are convinced that having this educational content strategy is the right approach. All right. It is easy to say you want to have an educational content strategy, but how do you actually execute this? All right. Now, I will bring you through step by step over here. Okay. Now, let's start from attracting prospects that don't know about you, don't know about your brand. And this falls under marketing's mandate over here. All right. So the key online channels, it can range from your blog, your website, your social content on your social channels. Ensure what you are sharing are reflective of the new messaging of what is happening in the macro environment. All right. Try to also repurpose your content. We don't have to create new blogs from scratch every single time. You can always update your existing content to reflect with the COVID tone, for example. All right. So like I said on the slide, attracting is about using your expertise to create content and conversations that start meaningful relationship with the right people. Okay, what I meant by that, okay, give you a few examples over here that in real life, we've actually done all this, okay? This is what we call the HubSpot Adapt series. Ever since COVID broke out, the keyword on HubSpot education content is adapt. How do we help you adapt to the new normal? All right, so we practice what we preach over here, and we want to help businesses understand how to succeed and be resilient in the year of 2020. So we held a series of webinars that teaches people on how to adapt their businesses based on our own experience and other experts in the industry, basically like how I'm imparting knowledge to you guys right now. Now, a few top subject line that we have used that have garnered a lot of positive interest. So number one, how to shift to a virtual event strategy, how to enable remote marketing and sales team of yours, serving your employees during times of uncertainty. Again, team, these topics has nothing to do with HubSpot business whatsoever. Nothing, right? We are standing from your point of view, the prospect's point of view on what they're interested in consuming during this time. And based off our experience, you guys are all business owners, you guys are all associations, you have spoken to a lot of businesses. You would know how people cope with that. You will know the pitfall, you will know the best practices. Publish those content so that people can come to you as a thought leader, consume your content, and convert as a prospect, and hopefully become a customer one day, right? Now, we can also think outside the box over here when it comes to content, right? The main aim over here is to extend your reach and attract more traffic to a website. You don't only have to write content that, I said, explicitly related to your product. It can be nothing to do with what you're selling, what you're servicing over here. So from our online research, from our marketing folks, we noticed a significant increase in people interested to learn about remote working, which is not all that surprising, right? Some of you may ask, how is remote work relevant to HubSpot? You're right. There's no direct linkage to marketing automation or CRM, which is what we do. But it is certainly relevant to our target audience. Like I said, the business owners, your marketing managers, and our customers as well, who will benefit from this content. All right. And to digital nomads, all right, this is the norm, but for a lot of us who have been going to physical offices, right? 99% of us go to a physical office. We have a 9-to-5 job, all right? And we have been doing this all our lives, right? And this COVID-19 pandemic, it's a huge shock to everyone, right? So this content proved to be people's all-time favorite. We garnered tons of data and prospect through this webinar. Now, another example that we did over here is doubling down on our academy as people are eager to learn. All right, a lot of our educational platform, for example, Coursera over here, are making the programs free as well. All right, so you can see on the top right corner over here, we even did a World Certification Day donation to UNICEF for every certification completed by our prospect. All right, so give them a reason not only for their own cause, but also helping others. That actually make the whole interaction meaningful when it comes to consuming your content. This is another real life example, Base.ai. They provide market research services. They basically provide helpful resources to help their readers, prospect customers to better understand the impact of COVID. All right, so they publish statistics around consumer behavior. They publish educational content around how are Malaysians getting their meals during the lockdown period. All right, so these are all content that people locally will be interested in knowing more, and hence it actually drive up the website traffic. It drive up the download. It gets more database into their CRM, which they're able to nurture for a long time. And people will always remember Vase.ai as a company that publish all these thought leader stats. Inevitably, there will be that social proof factor, and there will be credibility score that is running at the back of your mind. That is your subconscious that you think that, hey, you know what? Vase is quite trusted. It's a trusted brand. Okay, enough of speaking about attract. We're going to move on to engage, which is for sales people. All right. So how should sales team adapt to this new normal? Data shows that sales team are ramping up their sales activity, emails, but customers are not reciprocating at the same level. Remember, the email sends is all-time high, but the response rate, the open rate is all-time low. The solution is not doing the same thing over and over again. All right. Sales team should also think about doing educational content like webinars, videos, customer stories. An example, all right, on webinar. There's some of there's some examples that I'm showcasing here that we have done, which are more sales focused, right? You can see from building a remote sales culture to sales growth for startups, conducting by our sales leadership. All right, all this has gotten quite a few eyeballs, right? Despite it being sales, but I mean, who doesn't have a sales team in this world, right? Everyone will be interested on how to scale their sales team. We also have invested heavily on creating customer stories. During this unpredictable time, especially, it is even more important to get your customers to be the voice for your business. Prospects might be skeptical about what you say, right? Their alert level has been heightened because they are in the so-called new normal, but we will be less skeptical of what your customer say about you and say about your product, all right, as opposed to you promoting yourself. This has always been human's nature, right? Now, finally, delight, which is focused on growing your relationship with your customer, all right? I think a lot of us miss this a big chunk in the pie. We would have this underlying, I wouldn't say bias, but preconceived notion that, hey, you know what, everyone is having a hard time. I don't think I should approach my existing customers, all right? I don't think they're able to spend more, etc. That is not true, right? That is an assumption. A lot of your existing customers are rapidly, if not more, going towards digital, and they will be more interested in investing more if they have a very stable financial foundation, and they'll be like, hey, you know what? There's a famous phrase over here: don't waste a good crisis. All right. So don't hesitate to speak to your customer on investing more, right? As mentioned under engage, getting customers to be your promoter is crucial to help your sales team close more deals. So in order to do this, you must create content that is valuable to your customer to ensure that they continuously see success with your product or your service. Create exclusive customer content, guides which will help your customer. Example over here, we put together some business best practices specifically for COVID. Customers can, in turn, raise questions on challenges that are facing, so people from Hubspot can respond and help them, right? So this is what we launch over here in terms of best practices, and there's a very interactive, comment column, even live chat column where people can put in their feedback, their insights, and then we'll respond to it to stimulate conversations from them on how else we could help our existing customer. And we have no idea, we have uncovered so many opportunities over there that we could further help our existing customers in. We also host a series of exclusive events for HubSpot users only, more than 150 globally. We roll this out globally across different countries and cities. And these events keep customers up to date with the latest updates on our service offerings, best practices. All of this are hosted by our tiered partner over here, right? This is nothing too different from what Lance is hosting over here. A series of webinars. The main objective is to give value to you guys, right, during this time. So just a quick recap. In the ideal world, you won't be able to focus on all three stages: attract, engage, delight. In real, it's all about focus over here, right? So have a think about which stage of your businesses need to most focus and double down on that. Prioritize is the norm over here during COVID. Now, a simple recap and checklist to create a good educational content. Understand what has changed for your buyers and consumers. All right, create content around that. Choose which part of your organization will benefit the most from educational content. Third, identify the format of educational content to create, right? Be it blog post, be it landing page, be it video. Fourth, develop educational content. Fifth, create a plan to distribute your educational content. Marketing, sales, or services folks? Who should spearhead it? The answer could be two of them. The answer could be all of them, right? Now, marketing tactic 2, right time, right message. It's basically super important over here, right? Creating the right content is only one piece of the puzzle. It also needs to be shared at the right time. Okay. Now, most businesses in Asia still follow a spray and paint approach. All right. What I mean is there isn't really a clear thought process in whether their message is being sent at the right time. They just know that I should send an email, I should send a video, and based on whether they have a click on that video, I get a salesperson to call them or engage them on a chatbot, etc. So it's very reactive and you don't really know whether that is working or not. Always put yourself in the shoes of the buyer. Is what you're proposing something that they are looking for right now? Lead nurturing needs to be targeted with a clear goal and strategy, right? There needs to have a clear exit criteria. It needs to have a clear goal that you like to achieve over here. Marketing automation is all about adding value at the right time with the right quantity, all right? So just like watering plants, all right? You can't pour a whole bucket of water at one time, depending on the weather as well. That's your external economic climate. The key takeaway over here is if you overdo it, you will kill it. And just like killing any chances of closing this prospect, all right? So bear in mind with that. I know most of you would know this already. Marketing automation 101, segment your leads, all right? You can't always be a cookie cutter, using cookie cutter approach on all things. You need to segment them. There are many ways to segment your leads, all right? When COVID hit, our internal marketing team and sales team, for example, didn't just create a generic set of content and blast it to all our leads. We didn't just blast to everyone that, hey, you know what? Remote working is the new normal. This is how you can adapt to it. No, I don't think all our customers are interested in consuming that piece of content. We consciously segmented them based on the persona type of content which interests them in the past, all right? That is the beauty of a CRM system where you're able to track what people has consumed, what people has downloaded. Most importantly, consider the degree of impact by COVID, all right? Some industries were thriving because of their business models, because of COVID, all right? Now, guess what? What do you think this graph on the left represents? Right. This is basically the share price of Zoom, all right? I'm sure a lot of you know Zoom, all right? It has grown exponentially in terms of market cap. In fact, they have grown 590% year to date, all right? And the other big giant, Shopify, has grown 150+%. But I've not seen anything like Zoom before, right? Which I think it probably benefit the most out of all listed companies, right? Now, these are the three main categories we thought about in relation to COVID impacted businesses, all right? Survive, adapt, and grow, all right? As I said, there'll be industries that are being hit harder than others, all right? Could we have the same messaging with businesses in the grow category and survive? No, definitely not. It doesn't make sense. Based on their understanding, we then decided which industry we should focus on, and you need to be mindful of this as well. So you could see we give a few examples around industries that are in the surviving mode. Hey, you know what? If they have spare cash, they probably want to save their stuff first before embarking onto a digital journey. The ones that want to adapt, those are the people that we want to work with. For example, technology, consulting, pro services. The person that the businesses want to grow, who has adopted a digital strategy, a while back, that is your e-commerce, e-learning, gaming, IT services. You see these industries booming. All right. So these are that pockets of opportunities that you are able to focus on, and you should segment your customer list based on these three categories, all right? So what's next after segmenting your leads, all right? You basically need to show them the right content based on how you have segmented them, all right? There's no point segmenting your context if you're not going to tailor the content to different segments, all right? Again, like I said, there's no one size fits all approach over here, right? In order to be able to show them the right content, right, is to use some form of marketing automation, right, which allows you to execute certain action based on the behavior, based on the contact information. Give you a very good example. On a typical CRM system, there will be what we call a lead scoring, and the lead scoring is based off the criteria that you have set up your CRM with. So, for example, if you are let's say a software business that specializes in servicing travel-related industry, when a prospect from a travel-related industry come to your chatbot and interact with you, you have a lead scoring of 10, all right? Because that is exactly the target audience that you like to target. And if they, talk about like, hey, we have a budget of 50 mil, all right, that's another 10 points. And if they have come onto your website for more than 10 times, hey, that's another 10 points. That's lead scoring for you, right? So you'll be able to segment your leads based on that, and you'll be able to incorporate marketing automation based on lead scoring and tailor the content, right? If they have checked out your website, send a more relevant content to them. If they have not checked out your website, hey, send some information around the background of your business, for example. So all of this can be automated and all this can be preempt, right? So you can see like visually, this is how workflow works, all right? It's like a flow chart with a series of steps to nurture your prospect. So you can see over here, if a contact of ours has filled up this form around 8 days training series, they subscribe to our email, cool, all right? With a delay of 1 day, another email will be sent with a training video, all right? And then cool, there's another 1 day of delay, another training video will be sent, all right? So you can see different steps that you can send based on whether they have opened the email, whether they have not opened the email, for example. So once you know what content to send, you now need to design what triggers are, all right? Work with your sales team to understand what type of actions indicate the prospect is a good fit. Based on that understanding, you can use those to trigger the events. So for example, in this case, when a person visits your pricing page or product page, trigger a series of action to nurture the prospect, all right? Notify your sales team internally to engage or interact with the customer or prospect, for example, or send another educational video citing that, hey, you know what? I know you have consumed that content. How can we help, right? Final step, measuring a result. This is not something you set up once and can forget about it. You must always make changes to it based on the results to ensure it's always optimized at all times, all right? So here's an example of how this is achieved in HubSpot. These are real data. The most important metric is conversion rate over here that you can see, which indicates how successful the workflow is, right? That is your goal, remember? Once you have all those exit criteria on your workflow, you also need to set a goal. What is your goal in terms of conversion, right? A quick recap, all right? 4 key steps over here. Segmentizing your leads, all right? Show the different segments the right type of content. Set up the triggers, that content that is sent at the right time. And don't forget, measure the results, set the goal, and optimize it further. All right? In a new normal, what is happening? All right, buyers are online more than ever. Like I say, email marketing overload means that people have even stricter criteria for what content is relevant. So you need to be mindful of that. And hence, you probably need to increase the size of your online footprint by creating more content and use automation to increase relevance of your campaign. All right. I'm going to leave everyone with one final quote over here. I've been speaking nonstop for 35 minutes. I feel longer than that. I don't know why. But this is from a civil rights activist. All right. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. All right. So in this trying time, be considerate and empathetic of what businesses are going through. This is a pandemic which has caused a lot of suffering and damage. All right. Be helpful first and provide value before expecting anything back for your business. Cool. I am done over here, team.
Excellent. Excellent. Just a reminder, if any of you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A section on the right-hand side of your screen. Currently, do we have any questions, Norman?
Not yet. But it's
Okay.
interesting that how Aaron put everything together, right? Just before the pandemic, nobody actually knew what was Zoom and nobody actually bothered to even use Zoom, right? But now even you say, hey, let's get on to Microsoft Teams, and everyone say, oh no, I'm more used to using Zoom. Just within like that 6 months, right? Everyone's like, I'm more used to using Zoom. Right.
Yeah.
So just a quick question to you, Aaron. Do you guys mainly focus on the SME segment, or do you guys actually look into the enterprise segments?
Yeah, so that's a good question, right? So our core bread and butter is SMEs, to be honest, all right? So any companies that have an employee size of 1 to, I would say, like 200 is our sweet spot. It has always been. That consists, I think, a rough number of 65 to 70% of our customer base worldwide. However, in recent years, we have come up with enterprise edition as well. And how we define enterprise is quite unique. So it's between your 200 to 2,000 employee size. That is how we define enterprise. We are not going upstream just yet, because I think we eat our own dog food in that sense. So we have 4,000 employees in HubSpot, and we are using HubSpot for our own marketing. We are using HubSpot for our own CRM. So until we can support our own internal team, we won't roll out the services to our external customers. So we are globally 4,000 employees now. So we are now defining enterprise as 2,000 just to play it safe. But yeah, that is where we are right now.
So what's your current outlook on, say, just now you mentioned one of the things that you said is that retail industry is probably in the survival mode now because footfall is at an all-time low, right? So how do you think HubSpot can play a role in helping these retail guys to stay alive, keep the lights on?
Yep. I think from our point of view, right, because we have helped tons and tons of retail businesses get back on track. I think one of our advantage over here, because of our experience, is we are able to share use cases. So it's not from purely the products specs of things, because I always believe that the tool is only as good as how the master uses it. All right, without any use cases, without any case studies, people will just be using the tool for the sake of using it, but not using it the right way. So I guess the biggest value add over here is our support, our customer service, who had actual experience helping retail business get back on their feet, right? Yeah, so I think that's the biggest value add.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about that. So now everybody wants to talk about digitalization, right? So what do you think is the biggest challenge you see retailers right now when it comes to digitalization, when it comes to CRM? Yeah.
Okay, one thing that people has been saying is, hey, you know what? I'll go digital, I'll go online, because I think that's a silver bullet, that's a smoking gun. Now, digital is not all your answer over there, right? Doesn't mean that you go digital, you start using a solution, a marketing automation solution, it will drastically transform business all of a sudden, right? There's a lot of things happening in the background that you have to take into consideration. Like I said, one single most important thing over here, it will be your content, how you position your brand, and how you could help people by publishing content that matters to them, all right? So I think with a market that is so crowded, especially in the retail space, right, where more often than not, people are actually involved or engaged in price war. If I'm cheaper, okay, people come to me. If I'm more expensive, yeah, I kind of need to position myself as a premium good. Some people buy, some people don't buy, but I need to rely on the margin that I get from more lesser number of customers. So pricing is not the only definition over here, right? People need to realize that there's a lot of things that can help you move the needle, like content, right? Like how you take care of your prospect when they are not yet your customer. How do you reach out to them? What kind of wording and phrase did you craft for an email outreach? All these small tactics adds up to how your brand is being perceived in the market. So I think a lot of these small details are being ignored by business because they are so engrossed in that bigger scheme of things where, oh yeah, I just need to go online. I just need to quickly automate something. And they miss out all these fine details.
Yeah. One of the questions here is when people are trying to keep the lights on, how do we get our people to use CRM?
Okay, yeah. It's a tough one. If you're okay, so this is there are a few types of customers that we work with, right? One type of customer is the leadership has total buy-in into a CRM system, right? They're like, yeah, I believe in that. Okay, now I'm going to appoint a point of contact and they will run it. He or she will run it. All right. Now that is kind of a hit or miss approach. If that POC left, or if the POC is not strong enough to calm or tame the people down, the project will fall through. All right. Now we have seen champion from down propose to the top, who is very traditional mindset. All right. Now we see that approach more effective. Reason why is because the people who are really using the CRM are the executioner, right? Not the people who are doing the planning. All right. So if you can have internal buy-in from your top to invest the money, but at the executioner, there's a few champions in your team, then you can ensure full adoption over there. Another strategy that a lot of our customers use is they will appoint, let's say, a HubSpot administrator, a Salesforce administrator externally to indicate to the internal staff how serious the top management is in this. They invest in a few headcounts on driving this adoption and get buy-in, right? So that is another strategy. But yeah, you kind of need them to use it and yeah, instill it and have very strict rules and parameters around it.
Takes a lot of discipline, actually, to be very honest. We ourselves also, we find it sometimes a little bit a chore, but then we know that it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Do you see a huge uptake in CRM like HubSpot in the region?
We do see, number one is because we have a free CRM tool. You're able to sign up at ease very quickly to try out, to get a feel of it. The thing is, everyone gets the concept of a CRM. Everyone gets it. It's easy, right? It's how I like to explain it is Excel on steroid. You just can do much more things on Excel sheet, and it's updated on real time. There's no lagging, etc., etc., etc. You can forecast your deals whatsoever, right? So it gives you that first taste or step onto CRM before you move on to a big version where you're open to expose to more functionalities that a normal business needs. So we definitely see a lot of free signups during this pandemic, and a lot of them actually converted into paid users as well. However, I think in our region, there's still a lot of users need handholding. That's where I think Lens team come into handy, technical advices, consultation, because you need someone who has done it to guide them, right? So.
Okay, there's one more question here. I get this a lot also. How does HubSpot, what's the difference between HubSpot, Pipedrive, Salesforce, all of those CRMs out there? How do you guys differentiate yourselves?
So the positioning is very different, right? So again, Pipedrive is a fantastic tool. Salesforce, I've used it firsthand for many years. So powerful, great tool, right? But the positioning is a bit different. So Salesforce is a CRM company, all right? And their strategic direction has always been acquiring other companies to add into their suite of businesses, all right? So there's a lot of integration needed. If let's say you want to use Salesforce for marketing, you need to integrate Marketing Cloud onto onto Salesforce. You need to, if you're e-com business, you need to integrate e-com suite cloud onto Salesforce. For Pipedrive, it's a pure sales productivity tool that focuses only on CRM. Whereas HubSpot, like I said, is a CRM platform, right? Where everything is developed in-house. We grow slower. I mean, despite the exponential growth, like we are 14 billion cap company, we could have grown faster if we choose to acquire company, but we made a strategic direction not to acquire company and develop everything from scratch ourselves. So you will see that our interface is very easy to use. Everything is incorporated seamlessly internally on one interface, as opposed to you need to build API integration into it. So that is the one big difference when you have cross-functional teams, sales services support using one same platform, as opposed to piecing different platforms or tools together. So that's one key thing.
Sounds like you guys don't see them as competitors, rather like players in the industry you're trying to go together. But put side by side, say for example, HubSpot and Pipedrive, what's the one thing that is the biggest difference between the both?
Okay, so I think Pipedrive, again, their direction is very sales, CRM focused, whereas we actually started off as a marketing automation company. So your SEO, your landing page, that is our bread and butter. And then we expanded to CRM and sales, and then we expanded to post-sales, which is equivalent to your Zendesk, your Freshdesk, etc. So it's all in one. So in terms of covering more aspects of things, a front office suite, we call it, HubSpot has it all, whereas Pipedrive focus on one thing, and that's really good. So that is one key difference over there. And the other difference is you could quickly like Google like Pipedrive Academy or HubSpot Academy. I think we believe in what we call inbound marketing, where we provide a lot of educational content, like what I shared with you guys the past hour or so. Whereas Pipedrive is more of an outreach company. There's no right or wrong. It's just a strategic direction. So that's a couple of key differences on our methodology.
What I like about Hubspot, to be honest, is actually the fact I can build my website on Hubspot itself. I don't have to pay for hosting. I don't have to hire another developer. I don't have to get them to actually build landing pages for me. I can do everything myself. So that's what I really like. To be honest.
I'm glad that you brought that point. So another front office suite that we've just launched, probably 6-12 months back, is CMS, like what Lance had just shared. So you essentially are able to build your website on HubSpot. It works just like your Drupal, your WordPress. So it's truly a front office suite where you no longer need to piece together different solutions.
Yeah, we like that very much. So, any final words?
I don't get to see all of you face to face, so I'd like to ask all of you how you are doing. I hope you and your family, your friends are doing well. I know it's not the easiest to be in MCO in this time. I know we can still sneak out for some copy with masks, but still it's not the same. So I hope that everyone is doing well. We will get through this together, to be honest. We will always survive and adapt as human beings. So don't give up. There's tons of things that we can help each other on. And this webinar, I hope that it offer you some insights into how you could adapt to your new marketing strategy.
Actually, we still have 3 more minutes, so there's 2 more questions that I'm seeing here. Shouldn't CRM be a business, company, or team culture? How do you answer that?
I'm not too sure like how I would.
So I suppose the question is, how do you incorporate the need for a company to use the CRM as part of their culture?
I think it's the why behind, right? I think a lot of things fall through because people don't understand the why they have to do that. And the reason why people don't understand is because they have not experienced hell before, right? Or they have not experienced heaven before, right? So yeah, my opinion on adopting new things, right, is always have identify the champion that can adapt the quickest, have them as a use case before other people follow suit. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for like building that as a culture, but culture take weeks, days, not to mention years to build up, right? So this is not an overnight thing. Yeah, like what I shared, external administrator would help. Identifying a champion internally would help, but bear in mind, it will take time.
Yeah, you're right. I also know that you need at least 16% of your company's buy-in before it becomes a culture. At least 16% of your team in the company, if they believe in the cause, the rest will follow. 16%. Apparently, that's a magic number. One more question. Do you have any examples of a new CRM user that traditionally would never use a CRM, but today is using your CRM? Why do you think they did that?
Okay. This is interesting. I think you guys can search online. It's a Singapore-based company. They sell machineries, right? So a super traditional business, a family business. Grandfather passed on to father, father passed on to son, that kind of traditional business. So the third generation basically say that, hey, you know what? All these field sales people who's my father's generation, I have no idea what they are doing. They just say that I go out, do sales, they go makan, etc. I have no idea how to track it. It's not like I don't trust them, but I can't measure their productivity, right? So he himself, as a true believer in CRM, understand the why, and he has a real pain. So it's all about magnifying the pain that people are experiencing, telling them the fact, and show them the heaven version of what life could be after you adopt CRM. And then he basically is a top-down guy who's like, okay, guys, let's do this, right? He hired a few younger salespeople, get them to adopt it, show to the older salespeople, and then they get it adopted. They've been using HubSpot for 2 years now. They also use our marketing automation solution. I could share. It's public facing. Some radio station, I can make it a story out of that. I can share with you all, but it's glad to see traditional business transform with HubSpot.
Sure, you share me the link. I'll share it together with our blog post after this.
Ken, I will certainly.
All right, cool. That's about all the time we have. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for all the insights that you've given us to Aaron. Much appreciated.
No problem. Always a pleasure. Speak to you guys soon.
Yep. Norman, over to you.
Right. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Lance. Right. So everyone, thank you for still being with us throughout the session. So if you are looking at pivoting your business and you have questions that you want to ask on with regards to the topics that we actually presented since last week, right? You can actually join us on the 27th of October at 2 p.m., which is next Tuesday, where we have the guests from our previous panels join us, as well as Hubspot, Hatio Lab, Zilnex, Energy Labs, for the last session, which is the 5th session of our digitalization series of this webinar. So if you have questions on systems and how to pivot your business to online, this is the best time to actually ask the panel on and get your questions clarified and get your answers as well. So do join us on the...
Let me add on a little bit to that. What the idea behind this final webinar is actually a forum for the retailer, for any retailer. We actually have a guest retailer. Her name is Angie. She actually is the founder of a wellness company that does essential oils and all sorts of skincare products. She also is facing the pinch of COVID, and retail footfall has been decreasing. So she's trying to make that pivot online, trying to make things a bit more digital, make things a bit more automated. So this is where the forum of all of our past panelists will be coming on board to actually help Angie to see how their technologies can actually help her in her business. So if you are a retailer, this is a very good platform for you to actually understand how some of these technologies can actually help you in your business to survive. Right, Norman?
Right, that's right. So do join us next Tuesday for the session. Okay, so we've come to the end of today's webinar. If you have any feedback that you want to give us on the session, do scan the QR code which is displayed on the screen right now. If you have any questions on our products or Hubspot, do send us an email at sales@bilan.asia, or you can also give us a call at 0321070190, or just drop us a WhatsApp message at 012-266-0189. The numbers are displayed on the screen. So till next Tuesday, we'll see you again. Stay safe, everyone. Stay at home and work from home. Right. Thanks, everyone.